Okay, so after I stripped the shell, I didn't realize, I thought the shell was stripped, and little did I realize that there was a full blanket of sound dampening over everything on the interior. So Waverly and that's our task today, is to try to strip the interior. I mean, this guy has a full coverage from front, all the way to the back. The back seat has it, the wheel well has it. So our task is simply we've already experimented a little, and it chips up pretty easy. I thought I was going to have to heat it with a heat gun just to get it to come up, but it's hot out here. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's probably about 35 degrees Celsius. So it's already warm, and we're going to start just tearing this floor up. So Waverly's going to start in the front end, but
It's kind of addicting to take off.
what?
It's kind of addicting to take off. Bye.
So yeah, it's kind of bad when your daughter has to ditch you, for a date. Kind of stab to the heart there. Going on a date. Yeah, right. Here in America, it's not uncommon to have a shotgun at the door. When some boy comes roundabout. My favorite, I have to say, is uh, just putting a pistol in the back. Putting a pistol behind your waist. Tucked in your belt, and make sure you're standing by a mirror. You don't have to say a word, right? As long as when the boy comes in the door, he can see your back through the mirror. He sees the pistol. That's kind of my favorite. But still, kind of stab to the heart. When your daughter ditches you for a date. Um, yeah, ain't it great? All right, so I'm back at it. I realize this is not a big job, but for me, it's still a learning curve because I want to know everything about my car. And if it means the nitty gritty of sound dampening and how it's applied or where it's applied, hey. And besides, when I can't do anything else, at least it gives me the sense of satisfaction that I'm actually doing something on my restoration rather than doing something in the house or yard work. I'd much rather be working on this than go in the yard. So, and besides, since I do have a little bit of time, and with Waverly's help, it's nice being out here. It's it's nice. It's nice working with my daughter. Benny, Tom, if you actually get this far, if you actually see this, yeah, spend time with your kids because they're only small once, and you don't get the time back. So, if that means your full restoration, I think you've mentioned, in a couple years from now, then you'll do a full bottom floor pan or something. Hey, that's awesome. Take time with your family because they're only little once, and when they're toddlers, yeah, they grow up quick, as a lot of people can tell you. Anyhow, yeah. I'm going to just do a little test. You know, I've cleaned up kind of this foot floorboard on the front side of the car a little bit. Now I'm going to take a nylon abrasive wheel, and of course with my goggles, I'm going to see how well the remaining adhesive stuff cleans up. And then I'm not going to record the whole thing because that's a pretty boring video. I'm going to fast forward all this anyways, but still, let's see what that looks like. Man, I love those nylon abrasive brushes. They're fantastic. Well, I have picked up a few, but this is it. This is a 4-inch wheel, I believe. I also have 3 inches. But man, these things don't wear out easily either. Yeah, so man, I'm a big fan of these things because they don't appear to mess up the metal at all. Couple step process. You know, I guess the first thing we do is I've been using a chisel, just a small chisel, and of course a hammer, and I'm slowly chipping all the sound dampening away. Once I get the bulk of it, then I'm going to clean up the remainder of the sound dampening as well as the paint on the metal. So what I'm doing here is, now that I've gotten the thick sound dampening off, there's still a residue of some of that tar stuff, and it just helps the nylon brush. The nylon brush does great for removing paint and stuff like that. The metal brush does a great job for removing the leftover residue. So I'm going to clean it up twice. Once with the nylon brush, and then again once with the metal abrasive brush, and then once with the nylon brush. And of course, goggles. Totally recommend goggles. Okay, so I had to set the camera up to show this lesson learned. It's kind of nice, actually. These nylon brushes are fantastic, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. But for a 3 to 4 inch brush, this radius between the floor pan is perfect, just for going through and grinding this out. Anyhow, and I just wanted to show that before I forgot. And this is my last bit on the tunnel. This last little bit, I don't know if you noticed, but I must not have got all the tar or the oily stuff off, because the nylon brush just pushes it around. And I literally, that one spot, I'll push around for hours. If I sit here, it'll just push it around. It won't clean it. So I'm gonna stop on that and clean it. But I don't, if you can see, it's beautiful, you know, shiny metal. Boy, it does look good. All right. I had to stop and share the lessons that I learned before I forget them in my head. One, definitely wear gloves. See all the holes in them? That's from, these holes are from, you know, pushing down on the drill and my thumb hits the spindle. Yeah, I learned that because it's burning the heck out. I freaking take skin off on my fingers. So gloves. Definitely these. In fact, now I think somebody mentioned, I think Minnie Tom mentioned wearing earplugs. Yeah, and maybe even a face mask. But okay, so lessons learned. I had a box of these little abrasive before I started work. Before I knew what I was doing, I started working with metal. And my dad gave me a whole box of these little abrasive wheels for an angle grinder. And the whole bottom of the Mini, just because I wanted to do something, I started cleaning off the bottom of the Mini. And got it down. I'd work one strip at a time between the little tunnels on the floorboard. And I used up an entire box of these things. Now, that was before I really cleaned off the oil first, and then the dirt, so maybe they would last longer if I cleaned the oil off first. But since then, so I used up a box of these things. Since then, Pete Raymond, thank you, sir. He told me I use a wire brush, and this will pretty much take out Bondo, oil, tar. It'll take off the majority of the crap before you get to the paint. And if you do that, it makes it, you think, okay, two-step process, that's doing it twice. Well, let me tell you, it saves a heck of a lot of time. This will take off the majority of the junk. And then these nylon brushes, man, again, Pete, thank you. These things are awesome. I haven't even used this one. This one looks like it still has some life in it. But these, I've cleaned off 2 wings, now half the floor panels, and this thing is still going. When you clean off all the gunk, this will take paint off with speed. In that last little video you saw, if you don't get the oily stuff on, this will just push the oil around and it's no good. But fantastic. Let's see, lessons learned. Okay, it's hot here in Texas. Electric drills are just hot. Those things are hot. That's another reason for wearing gloves, because I kind of burn my hand. And after working with the metal, you don't touch the metal, because with the outside temperature and then with the temperature of the abrasive wheels heating it up, that stuff is hot. Let's see, lessons learned. Okay, electric drill. You can't get into tight spaces with it. I still got to figure out what I can use to do that. I guess I'm going to have to learn how to sandblast. Electric air angle grinders, they're a little bit smaller. I might be able to get into some of the tight places, and they actually get cold, even in the hot weather, continuously running them. They actually get cold, but the problem with that is they're only good for light work. If I have to dig in a little bit to get a little stubborn piece of paint, the air compressor's out, and I have a 80-gallon tank. It's a pretty good tank, but even that sucker is out, and I even bumped up the pressure PSI on those. So the electric tool is definitely better for hard labor. All right, so that was a lesson. When you're working outside in the sun, it's definitely nicer working towards the back of the car, because you get the whole C panel to block the sun from shade. That was kind of a nice lesson to learn. I enjoyed working back there because I was in the shade. Let's see. Man, I know there's some more lessons. Angle grinder, wheels. I showed you the one lesson where this is perfect if you ever have to, for any reason, strip the paint off the tunnel. You know, when you go laterally in the car, this is the diameter, fits perfect in that tunnel. That was a good lesson learned. I did learn to finesse with my chisel rather than beating that tar sound dampening off. I learned, well, no, the aftermarket. I learned, instead of beating it, because it's pretty thin, I learned that I could just, with a little bit of pressure, I could keep prying the chisel with my hand, and then I actually got it to come off in sheets. So that was a lesson learned. The sun is fantastic. That's not a lesson learned, but it's a constant reminder. When I'm in the shop, there are always some dark places. Of course, I could pull out my lights, but that's kind of a hassle. So I just rolled the puppy outside, and the sun is fabulous. You see everything. The rotisserie definitely has already saved my back. Now, I know there are some other lessons learned here, and I just can't think of it. You definitely need drinks in the hot weather. All right, I guess I'll show you the end product. Lessons learned. Oh, when I took off the sound dampening, then I started to really see the rust holes, and I have changed my path. I was going to cut in the floor panel. I was only going to cut into like the second little channel, whatever you call those, and replace it from front to back. But now, because I have rust further inboard, I am going to replace the entire floor panel except for the tunnel. The floor panels that I have, and this is before I was educated by Jaguar 66, Dave Jaguar. I ordered these and I had these laying around. So these are Magnum panels, and you can see I only have half panels. I don't have the tunnel. I think the camera can see this. Anyhow, so now I'm just going to replace the whole thing. I don't know. They talk about more vetting or fetting of this thing. I don't know what that entails, but I guess I'll figure it out once I get there. All right, so I'm gonna turn the camera. I'll take it over and I'll just show you what I've done, and then we'll call this video a wrap. So yeah, one more little video clip and then we're all done. Inside the shell, and I'm just showing you, you can see the nice clean steel tunnel here on my floor panel, and I cleaned it all the way up. All right, let's see. I'm gonna get a drink, another drink, because I've already sucked the other one down, and I'm gonna call it a day. So here we go. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna end it on a good note right here. Nice drink. It's not a beer, I know, but it's a pretty awesome drink. So I'm gonna end it on this note. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye just now.